I am a man of honor, integrity, and promise. I pursue all righteousness. I love my family. I will not put my family in harm's way. There is nothing that will keep me from doing the right thing. I am an ambassador of hope and a man of discipline. I am a man worth following. I am a TYRO.
Welcome to TYRO TV. I'm Ron TYRO.
And I'm Cathy TYRO. And for those of you that don't know who we are, Ron and I are the co-founders of the Ridge Project and the co-creators of TYRO.
TYRO is a Latin word which means apprentice, novice, someone learning something new, a warrior.
It's also the name of our flagship curriculum, which we developed out of our own journey through incarceration, poverty, and entitlement.
And today we want to talk about something that is really dear to our heart called BIT. You know, doing a bit. You know, I've heard that phrase thrown around all my incarceration, all 15 years I was locked up. Everybody talked about we are doing a bit.
That's right, how to do your bit. And so today we're going to talk about what does it mean? What is a bit? Why is it important to understand what you're doing? And finally, how do you do it the right way so that you come out on the other side more successful, obviously, and more ready to actually re-enter society and be successful.
And be excited about it, right? Be excited about your second chance at life, right? And some of you third or fourth chance at life, right? So what is a bit? You know, we're talking about basic individual training. You know, that's really what it is. You know, we can look at the negative side of it. We can look at where if you have a horse, you know, you put a bit inside of a horse's mouth to control it, whether it's if the horse is in disobedience, all the rider's got to do is just tug a little bit on the reins and it will cause the horse to submit itself to the rider.
To the authority by which is exerting the pain or the pressure. Well, okay, so that might be the negative, thinking, okay, yeah, that sounds like the bit I'm doing, is I've got authority over me, they're applying some pressure that makes me uncomfortable and makes me align. But we want to flip that script, and we really want to talk about causing this time in your life to be your basic individual training, and really have you take a look at what is it you're training to do? What is it you're training for?
You know, I remember when I was incarcerated, I knew I was just, my goal was just to be a great dad. My goal was to be a great husband. My goal was to maintain a relationship with Cathy that she didn't file for divorce, right? That was one of my goals. And my goal was to...
It was my goal too, baby.
You know, and my goal was to not be a detriment or a liability in Cathy's life.
Or a leech, or
I was a
vampire.
Leech. Yeah, and I know the beginning of my incarceration, I was a leech. I was a vampire. It was all still always about me. I need this from you. Can you go get that for me? Have you talked to the lawyer? Send me a food box. Send me some money. It was never...
Oh gosh, in flashbacks. Okay, yeah.
I mean, that was my lifestyle. I wasn't doing the bit. The bit was doing me.
Once we came to understand that this phase in our life, this chapter in our life, was an opportunity for us to prescribe our own basic individual training in order to prepare our family for success, totally changed our lives.
So when we come back, we're going to talk about what is a bit, what is basic individual training, and why is it important to you. So stay tuned and we'll be right back.
TYRO Dads will help you to see who you really are on the inside by coming to terms with your past, present, and future. You'll begin to move forward by using your time on the inside to transform yourself. We know you're not the only one serving time. Your family is too. Overcoming the issues that existed prior to and during incarceration are often more than what many families can survive. TYRO Dads has a unique method of reaching and healing families based on Ron and Catherine TYRO's own personal experiences. TYRO Dads works exclusively with incarcerated fathers who have minor children. The program lasts for 10 weeks and focuses on intensive character development. You'll be taught to take responsibility for your actions, to own it. You'll be prepared to overcome the obstacles of incarceration and transition back into your home and community, both successfully and permanently. Upon successful completion of this program, you will earn the title of TYRO, which means a warrior, someone learning something new. You will be one of the honored, a man worth following. If you think you have what it takes to be a TYRO, or you want to know more, contact your local project facilitator or your institution staff.
Welcome back to TYRO TV. I'm Ron TYRO.
And I'm Cathy TYRO. And today we are talking about BIT.
You know, BIT in my life has really had some negative connotations to it. It has really left a bad taste in my mouth. It's really made me kind of resentful. But when I came to terms with it, I began to really understand that, you know what, this is meant to make me better, not bitter. And how do I take a bit and take advantage of it and allow it to help me to grow?
So then we really saw BIT as basic individual training, which actually did not have negative connotations. It caused us to actually become successful. Successful in our family, successful in our community, and successful at work. And so we want to talk about what is BIT. What is a basic individual training and what isn't it?
You know, what it is something that you have to apply in your life, that you know where you're weak at, you know where you need help at. And when you can qualify these things in your life, you begin to set a course and a plan on how to take advantage of this downtime, right? Whatever got you to prison, that's not what we're talking about. But it's up to you to either become bitter or better. It is up to you to, when you leave that place, that you leave a stronger individual, healthy individual, somebody that people can count on.
So what it is, it means in training. Basic individual training. So if you are in waiting till you get out, waiting till you get back with your kids, waiting for whatever else, you are not doing your bit. You're not in individual training.
In other words, the bit is still doing you. And you can tell yourself, you know what, when I get out, I'm going to, you know, when my wife, when you could put
when
all
she
the
gets
excuses.
sober, when I get this, when I get that, when they do that, that's in waiting. You are not in waiting. You cannot afford to be in waiting, or you're going to have the exact same life when you step outside these gates as you had before you got here, and probably even worse.
You know, we teach a concept called practice makes permanent, right? Not practice makes perfect.
Right.
You got to begin practicing the training that you're in. You know, we talk about a boxer. You know, you talk about somebody who's in training. You know, if any of you ever boxed, any of you ever really been in that physical mode, yeah.
And training to get hit, aren't you?
Training to get hit. You're training because when the world is going to hit you, it's going to throw everything at you when you get out. But if you haven't been training to receive that type of impact, right, you will get knocked down and more likely knocked out. When you wake back up, you're going to find yourself with another prison number.
So it's not in waiting, it's in training. What else isn't a bit?
Well, a bit is waiting on somebody to do it for you. It is not that. A bit is, when you're in waiting, this is what it's not. It's not waiting for mom, oh my goodness, to get a place for you to stay. It's not waiting for your wife to send you that money so you can go get the best Nikes or whatever it is. When you're in waiting, that's what it's not. And you got to qualify that. But when you're in training, you're training on how to live without. You're training on how to live with the bare minimum that you have in there. So when it doesn't come right away on the streets, you don't go try to rob or try to take it from somebody, because you've learned how to live.
Yeah. So Ron, what you're saying is that doing your bit or basic individual training means that you are practicing discipline.
And that's exactly what it is. You're training to become better. You're disciplining yourself to live without. You're training yourself to be able to take rejection. You're training yourself to not take things personal. What is it? It's a type of discipline that can only come by way of this type of journey. It's a different type of discipline, because you might find yourself alone. You know, in penitentiary, it's a lonely place to be when you're the only one in the unit practicing discipline of this degree.
You find when you're doing things that are unhealthy, you have all kinds of people contributing to that. You know, I know when Ron was eating everything in sight, people always give him, hey, you want these extra donuts? Hey, you want this extra candy?
That's exactly what we're using.
Yeah. Hey, you want this extra, right? And so then when Ron decided, you know what, I'm going to kick sugar out the car.
I got a better one. How about when I used to smoke cigarettes? You
Right.
know, in prison, I think I became a professional quitter, right? And when I made that conscious decision, one day I told myself, I'm not going to smoke cigarettes anymore. Within an hour, somebody came, hey man, you want a cigarette? I totally forgot. I had just made a decision. I'm not going to smoke anymore. And before you know it, I had a carton in my hands and a cigarette like this in my finger and lighting up, right? This is back in the day when they used to be able to smoke cigarettes in prison. But then I'd wake up to that reality. Gosh, I just told myself I wasn't going to quit. So I'd have to do it again and put them down again. And then I'd forget. But eventually, what? Practice makes what? Permanent. I finally quit.
When you decide that you're in training, not everybody is going to be contributing to help you train to do the right thing. And so that's why it takes so much discipline, because you have to set the standard. You have to set the schedule. You have to decide what it is you're going to do to become better. And you have to adhere to that schedule. Then you begin to hang out with other people that are doing the same thing. So when we talk about what is basic individual training, it is practicing the discipline, and it's in training, not in waiting, even though you are locked up. And maybe you feel like you're in waiting because you're set aside from society. You're not actually participatory from the world out here, but you have the opportunity to take advantage of this and train so that when you get back in the game, you are prepared to win.
And you know, that is a great analogy, Cass. And even when you're in that frame of mindset, and you talked about how you will hang around people like that, what happens is you attract people. You attract the like-minded people who are also wanting to live a better life. They want to be in training because they know in order to get back into the game, they got to be physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually fit in order to overcome every obstacle. Listen to me. Mountains weren't meant to be carried. You got to understand this. We have a lot of mountains in our life, but they're not meant to be carried. They're meant to be climbed. And maybe you got to figure that out. What is the mountain in your life that you have to climb? And that takes basic individual training to get there.
So when we come back, we're going to talk about why. Why is it important to do training right now where you are, regardless of your out date? So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Playing catch, basketball, laughing, and enjoying each other's company. These are all normal things on the outside, but many times are missed in a visitation setting. TYRO Dads brings the same fun experience to the inside through Family Days. As a TYRO Dad, you have the opportunity to participate in this fantastic event. Family Day is designed to allow fathers and families to engage with each other through activities designed to stimulate communication, learning, and play. Family Days will not only be a highlight for you, but for your children as well. The Ridge Project has strategically developed Family Day as an opportunity to help you connect with your child throughout your separation and help both of you develop skills to continue building your relationship when you return home.
Welcome back to TYRO TV. I'm Ron Tiarina.
And I'm Cathy Tiarina, and today we are talking about BIT, or your basic individual training.
You know, we just got done talking about what is it, but now we want to talk about why is it. Why is it important to understand doing a bit in your life? Because you know what, just because you're incarcerated in there, people out here are doing a bit. You know, you can tell when life is just tearing people up. You can look at them, you can see them, and they are getting beat up by doing the bit out here, because guess what? The saying is, either you do the time or the time's going to do you. Well, that works both ways, inside and outside.
And you can't win without training. I mean, I learned this the hard way. So we had a 5K coming up, and I was like, oh, 5K, that's like what, 3.5 miles, 3.1 miles? Oh, easy peasy. I'm not going to train for that. I'll just do it. I showed up for the 5K. I started running the 5K. About 1.5 miles into it, I'm getting cramps in my legs. I'm slowing down. People are passing me because they train, and they're looking refreshed. They're looking revived. We get to the end. I completed the race, but I was like dying. I was huffing and puffing.
And the truth is, we both had that same mindset, you know, with work and stuff like that. Well, we'll just go running. We don't worry about it. But when we got there, I was determined I didn't want to be last, right? Without no training, right? So what happened? I wasn't last, but I got beat by 2 women pushing a stroller. Okay?
That's right.
I got beat by 2, let me say that again, by 2 women pushing
a stroller.
They beat me. And, I felt really... You know, I felt like, wow.
Unprepared. And
right?
not successful. And who do we have to blame? Only ourselves, because we didn't put in the time training. So when we think about why, if you want to win the race, you got to train for the race.
You got to
train.
You
can't just show up and think that you're going to come out ahead.
You can't. That is so true. And we know we've been working with a lot of people now. They really encourage them to understand the why factor. Because here's what we used to look like. This is why it's so important. Because your children are watching you. They want to know, well, Dad, why is it? If it wasn't important to you, Dad or Mom, why has it got to be important to me? Because listen,
you didn't train. Why should I train?
Oh my goodness. Because this is who we used to look like. You know, we don't want to be no longer the liability in people's lives. You know, you can't get hired at a job because you're a liability.
I want to be the asset. I want to be the, wow, look at all that she brings. Look at all the training she brings, all the certificates she brings, all the knowledge and experience that she's going to bring. Instead of, man, I don't know if I can take a chance on him. You know, he hasn't really accomplished anything. She hasn't really done anything with her life. This is a potential liability. So training flips that script from liability to asset.
And another thing we don't want to be, I remember once in my life, I was the nightmare.
Yeah, you are.
Boy, everywhere. Not I
Yeah,
am.
you were.
I was.
That's why I
But
said, yeah, you were.
You said, yeah, you are.
No, you were, baby.
Right, so-
You're
so
my
the-
dream now.
Well, yeah, then that's what we all want to be. We want to be that knight in shining armor.
Right.
Right? We want to be, I no longer want to be the nightmare in Cathy's life. Whenever she sees me coming, like, oh my gosh, is he drinking? Is he getting high?
Right.
You know, is he going to start arguing? And all these type of things,
So
right?
training flips it from being the nightmare in someone's life to being their dream come true. That the thing that they hoped for actually manifests. That I hoped for this healthy husband. I hoped for a great dad for my children. And so watching Ron invest in training, become that basic individual training, meaning not just for himself but for other people, became my dream come true.
You know, I heard it said, you know, I want to be the fountain and not the drain.
Right.
You know what? Because I was a drain in Cathy's life. I was a drain in everybody else's life. Prior to becoming a TYRO, waking up and becoming a man of my word, understanding that I'm going to do this time. And you know what? I had to surround myself with men, real adults inside prison, to help me grow up from being from childhood into adulthood.
So if your children, your family, your friends don't want to spend time with you, it's because you're sucking the life out of them. It means that you're a drain, you're taking everything from them. When you are a fountain, you're giving to them. And then there's like always something new and refreshing. Think about a fountain and the refreshment that brings. And so if your family is flocking to you, then that means that you're using this time for training and to create a different experience in your life and in other people's lives. That's why you are in training, Dad.
You know, and we got to really say that bit. Basic individual training. Qualify what you're being trained for. If that's to be a better dad, a better husband, a better son, a better cousin, a better uncle, a better aunt.
Employee, right? You want to go from a place where you are no longer creating hell in everybody's life, but instead you're creating a heaven. You're saying, wow, I love to be with that person. I learned so much from spending time with them. They make me feel better about life. They contribute to my life instead of extracting value.
And this is all part about, Dad, about building a legacy for your family. You know, when you're creating a legacy in that penitentiary or wherever you find yourself at, you are creating the bid for them. They come in behind you. Was it a great experience or was it a negative experience? Were you a fountain in their life or were you a drain in your life? Were you a co-creator or a co-extractor? Were you that vampire that was always sucking the life out of people, or were you that person always breathing life into people all around you? In other words, when people come around you, can they say they are like, when they're around you, they like sitting on a rainbow, man? Can you imagine sitting on top of a rainbow? What type of experience that would be if they're around you? The joy and the peace and the righteousness and all those good things that come around when they're with you. You can be that basic individual training, but you gotta qualify. Why are you there? What are you being trained for?
That's right, because when we think about why, the big why is what? Setting new precedents in your life, using this opportunity to become who you really know you're capable of being. There are so many dreams that you have let die inside of your own heart and your own mind because you stopped believing you were capable of achieving them. And you took on this environment of bit and being controlled and allowing that to happen. Well, now's your opportunity. It doesn't mean that you don't submit to authority. It means you submit to authority willingly, that you take control of your life and you begin to invest in things that make you better because you are setting forth your new legacy and the foundation upon which will be steady when you put your foot on the other side of the gate.
So when we come back, we're going to talk about how to make this applicable. How do you take these principles and really activate them in your life? So stay tuned and we'll be right back.
Dear son, it's been hard these last few years, watching you grow up without me in the picture. Never taking the time to find out how you were or what was going on in your life. You're just a boy, I thought. You don't need me. I didn't need my dad. He was never around, I told myself. But I was wrong, son. I'm supposed to be a grown man. I was selfish. I was stupid. I was thinking of me, not you. If I could go back, son, and change things, I would. It's taken me all this time being selfish to finally grow up and realize I need to be a responsible man. That's what I finally learned, not from prison, but the TYRO program. It's all about becoming a better, stronger man. Wish I would have gotten it sooner. Everything looks different to me now. I'm a changed person. I know I need to be there for you now. It's not about me anymore. It's not about being cool. It's not about who I run with. It's about Mom. It's about you. It's about being a better man, learning something new in my life. It's about being a TYRO, a man worth following. I'm your dad. You're my son, and I love you. I am a TYRO. I'm a TYRO. Dad.
If you think you have what it takes to be a TYRO or just want to know more, contact your local Ridge Project facilitator or your caseworker.
Welcome back to TYRO TV. I'm Ron TYRO.
And I'm Cathy TYRO, and today we are talking about BIT, our basic individual training.
You know, this is kind of a, we make it sound like it's an easy subject, but really we're talking about discipline. And it's not easy doing any type of BIT. But what it is it will make us better once we embrace the experience we're having. Because if we can embrace the experience we're having and become better, then we make the experience others are having around us much better.
And when we put forth the effort and the discipline into training, which we know isn't easy, but we reap the benefit of it. When we train, we become stronger and stronger and stronger. So we're going to dedicate this segment to really talking about how to actually begin your training so that you are in your own personal basic individual training.
You know, once you make a conscious decision that I'm going to do this, I'm going to change, this isn't going to happen overnight. So the first key principle is embrace the one day at a time. Embrace this. I know when we lift weights in the penitentiary, do 2-a-days, right? When I first went into the weight room, I could barely bench press the bar, right? Let alone any free weights on there. I could barely bench press the bar. So what happened was—
But you didn't give up.
I did not give up.
No.
In fact, I had a team around me, which we're going to get into later. I had support because this is one day at a time. You cannot despise small beginnings. Don't beat yourself up when you don't run that 5 miles that first day. You might run a half a mile and walk the 4.5. Right? But you got to keep chipping away at it one day at a time.
Remember physics, that what's already in motion wants to stay in motion, that it takes a lot more inertia to move something that is still than something that's already moving. So even if it's small steps, if you begin to move in the right direction, you will pick up pace and get further and further along your goal. But you have to start moving.
So the second part is, once you make that conscious decision that I'm going to do this one day at a time, I'm going to take it one day at a time. I'm not going to beat myself up when I don't make my goals because I'm not trying to make it in 1 week. I'm going to allow my growth to happen one day at a time.
Right.
These incremental steps that you're going to take, these small baby steps, and you're going to embrace that. Despising not small beginnings is powerful.
So doing one day at a time and then challenging yourself to increase. Just like when you start working out, you don't get up and you say, okay, I'm going to bench 350 pounds, I'm going to run 10 miles. It's your first day of working out. And you become discouraged. Right. You give up and you say, man, I tried that, it doesn't work. But if you get up and you say, you know what, I'm going to walk 100 extra steps today. Well, that's incremental. The next day I'm going to walk 150 extra steps. And you keep adding to it and adding to it and adding a daily challenge. So first of all, you do a day at a time, and second of all, you make each day a greater challenge.
And so the third one is you got to pick a team. You got to pick that supporting network around you where this is your sphere of influence.
This is a big deal, gentlemen.
It's a big deal because if you got people always cutting you down and challenging you that you're not going to be anybody, that's not what we're talking about. Those you can do without. You have enough haters in your life. You don't need to invite them to your circle.
But you also can't just have a bunch of people that are going to be your cheerleaders and all they're going to do is say nice things to you. You have to have people that are going to tell you the truth because real friends challenge you. They tell you, you know what? Yeah, it's great that you ran that mile, but you know what? You still got 4 more miles to go, so you got to you can't. It's positive pressure. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
When you think about team, there's got to be that positive friction because iron sharpens iron. That positive pressure has to exist on your team, not just people that are going to be nice to you. You want people going to challenge you to be better.
But we're not talking about some people who want to belittle you.
Right.
We want to talk about a positive, constructive criticism where they're going to help take you from one point to another. And you're allowing it because you've allowed them into your life where you say, you know what? I know you can bench press 3 1/4 and I can only do the bar. I'm willing to come under your type of leadership.
Yep.
Can you get me to where you're at? I need that in my life. You know what? I want to do push-aways. And you know what I'm talking about when I say push-aways? I need somebody to hold me accountable that I don't eat every tray in front of me. You know what? I need to write letters to my wife. And I know you write all the time. Will you hold me accountable to at least write a letter 1 a day? You have to figure out when you're doing this basic individual training, what are you training for? And then how are you going to get there?
And the last one is something you're going to hear us say over and over and over again, and that is practice makes permanent. That you have got to make sure that you are training every single day. So we talked the first one, and that was take one day at a time. That means if you don't quite make it, that's okay. Don't give up, keep going. The second one we talked about is incrementally making that challenge greater and greater so that you're growing stronger and stronger. The third one was building the right team around you to really help you make success a reality in your life. And the fourth one is do it every day. Make it become a habit. Your basic individual training has got to become a habit, and it has to become permanent part of your life so that when you go from this environment to an even more challenging environment on the street, it's already who you are.
Now listen, you're going to be your worst critic. You're going to have people around you in the day room. Right now, there's people walking by you, and you're watching this TV show, and there's people, man, you still watching those two? Man, what do they know? Well, you know what? We're the real McCoy. We're the real deal. I've been where you're sitting at. Cathy's been where your wife is at. We have been where you're at. This is what makes us experts. Doesn't make us better than you. There are no better thans, but it puts us in a place of where we were able to take the same experience you're having and overcome it by understanding what it means to do a bit. Basic individual training. We began training for this purpose in our life today, that we can help others to achieve their goals and their dreams. But listen, man, it was one day at a time for us. The struggles that we had to face to just maintain our healthy
the struggle is real.
The struggle is real. To maintain a relationship for us, just by phones and visits and everything else that goes in between that. Do not despise small beginnings. Do your bit and do it well. Embrace your bit and you will overcome and you will succeed.
When we come back, we're going to wrap it all up for you and make sure that you know exactly what you need to do in order to become the best you. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
TYRO Dads will help you to see who you really are on the inside by coming to terms with your past, present, and future. You will begin to move forward by using your time on the inside to transform yourself. We know you're not the only one serving time. Your family is too. Overcoming the issues that existed prior to and during incarceration are often more than what many families can survive. TYRO Dads has a unique method of reaching and healing families based on Ron and Catherine TYRO's own personal experiences. TYRO Dads works exclusively with incarcerated fathers who have minor children. The program lasts for 10 weeks and focuses on intensive character development. You'll be taught to take responsibility for your actions. To own it, you'll be prepared to overcome the obstacles of incarceration and transition back into your home and community, both successfully and permanently. Upon successful completion of this program, you will earn the title of TYRO, which means a warrior, someone learning something new. You will be one of the honored, a man worth following. If you think you have what it takes to be a TYRO, or you want to know more, contact your local project facilitator or your institution staff.
Welcome back to TYRO TV. I'm Ron TYRO.
And I'm Cathy TYRO. And today we're talking about BIT.
We've been talking about 4 steps on really how to embrace basic individual training. Look, if you don't know you're in training right now, then you're still asleep. If you don't know that you're being trained for something greater than your purpose right now, you're still asleep. If you haven't come to embrace this bit, right, and really become to let it empower you and infuse you with this thing called power of where you can overcome all those things that got you locked up, right? Even your own thinking, right? Because part of your training is you got to change the way you think. Your best thinking got you where? Locked up. So you got to change the way you think. You need to embrace this thing called BIT, basic individual training. I guarantee you, Cathy guarantees you, the moment you embrace this and you begin to change the course of your life, people are going to come out the woodwork either hating you or celebrating you. They're going to want to walk with you or run from you.
Right. And so remember, we're going to remind you one more time of the 4 things you've got to practice. And the first one is day at a time. And so
1 day at a time.
1 day at a time. That's right. 1 day at a time.
And the second thing is you got to be able to take those small steps, those incremental steps, and don't be discouraged because they're small baby steps. Don't let that discourage you. Embrace every little milestone that you overcome in your life because it will take you, before you know it, you've exceeded your own expectations.
And the third thing is make sure you're choosing a winning team. Now, it might be hard to get on the winning team right out the gate because they're like, oh, wait, I don't know if that person's really serious about this. You've seen it in the weight room, like, oh, I don't really want you on my team, you're just playing around, you're a distraction. But once they see that you've taken 1 day at a time and you've incrementally grown in your strength, they're going to surround you and help you become successful. But choose your team carefully because you're going to be like who you hang with.
That was a good example, Cathy, because we have a lot of guys who, even out here, the New Year's resolution, You know, the fakers from the makers, right?
That's right.
And the last thing is practice makes permanent. You know, you got to train. You got to train like there's no tomorrow. You got to be conscious of why you're doing this. Your children are counting on you to embrace this training that you're under, because you're going to empower them. They're going to watch you and you're going to show them how to succeed, because you're going to understand how these principles work. You're going to be able to apply them in your life and then empower others to do the same thing, right? It doesn't make us better than anybody else, but it sets us at a place where we can now invest in other people's lives, and we're talking about our children.
The truth is, all you have is this moment in time. You have today. Yesterday's gone. It's forgotten, or hopefully it's forgotten, but yesterday is gone. You have the hope of tomorrow, but all you have power over right now is today.
Remember, create a heaven experience, not a hell. Don't be the nightmare, be the dream, right? Don't be a liability, be an asset, right? That's what we're counting on you, TYRO. If you're a TYRO, and if you want to become a TYRO, talk to your case manager, talk to your unit manager, sign up to become a TYRO today, because we are looking for some people like you that can help us transform the people around us and to send this message across the world.
Well, this brings us to the end of our episode today on BIT. We hope that you've gotten something out of it that can help make you better. And we just want to tell you, we are so grateful that you're allowing us to be part of your journey.
And always remember, until next time, we are rooting for you.
I am a man of honor.
I am a man of integrity.
I am a man of faith. I am the antidote.
I am a man of discipline. I am a leader.
I am strong.
I am a man worth following.
I am a TYRO.